And I think that's where the future leads into structuring products, having ability for investors to invest in something new. And it's not just standard stock and bond that everybody else offers.
The diversity,
and I think that's what some of the feedback of clients we got on back of the event is like, hey, we are here because we want to hear about something new and different. And not everybody is interested in buying equity into a firm, right? So they want to come along for the ride, but they also want to invest in projects that are good for them, good for the environment, good for the future.
Welcome to AssetRush Talk. I'm here with Daniel from Pioneer Asset Management. And Daniel, please introduce yourself to start with.
Yeah. My name is Daniel Andonovski. I'm CEO of Pioneer Asset Management. And I know Gen 2 from the moment they started, so looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, you've been with us for a while, and of course I take great pleasure in that. But today is all about you, and I certainly want to talk a bit about what brought you into the business. How did you get to that point, and of course, what are your plans with Pioneer?
But I started in the Chicago Options Exchange, so that was my first taste of finance, right? So that was many years ago, but then kind of progressed into derivatives and all sorts of different financial products, and did some consulting in different industries as well. And that's how the financial world kind of came to me and ever stayed ever since. And eventually started doing these things for myself, started trading, done the corporate banking thing for many, many years. And about a couple of years ago, I finally decided it's time to do something on our own. So hence, I think that's when we first met.
Yes.
About 5 years ago, it was the first attempt of creating a hedge fund without spending a lot of money.
Give us an overview on the projects that you're involved with today.
We do a couple private ones for clients that are purely portfolio management, which we like. It's kind of core of the execution of the strategy, which is really excellent. I think a couple of the more interesting ones I'll point out is some are quite unique, like Zermatt, for example, is an interesting real estate property in Switzerland that does a lot of innovative ways of changing the hospitality industry. So we've kind of enabled them with a CLN note, and they're looking down the path of creating an AMC and getting other investments into it. And the most exciting ones are the precious metals ones, at least for where I see it, is because it's not about, and the ESG ones, meaning they're eco-friendly precious metals areas where what you're doing is cleaning the environment. So we are extracting the precious metals that are already basically in a dump or are refined and processed already. And also we're working on the esports one that's coming out. So that's quite interesting because it kind of brings the past and the future all in one.
And what is the aim of these projects? Is it fully focused on the return?
It's a combination of both. It's really somewhere on so the private AMCs are pretty much focused on the return for the client, right?
Yes.
So we're purely a hedge fund or execution portfolio management strategy where the client is putting up funds and we're trading that on their behalf and producing much better return than the market.
What is the investor base that you're approaching with that? And then maybe also what are you looking for? What are the next couple of things that you're planning?
Investor base is a lot of it is private and individuals.
So you had a great appearance at AssetRush. You made a wonderful pitch there in front of a huge crowd this year. Now, what were the benefits of that for you? How did that reflect on you?
No, it was excellent. I'm not one of those people that prepare a lot, meaning I read off the sheet. The only thing I was trying to do is keep it under 5 minutes, which is very hard. I found that actually that's the hardest part to pace yourself, right? But no, the event was amazing. I had some random people approach. It's like, we love your presentation because actually you talked about numbers and what you're going to return to people, which was great.
So there were amazing returns on these.
We really work with
So what are the next big projects?
Next big projects. There's few of them. A lot of them in the commodities field, actually. And what we are trying to do is work on the ESG type of friendly investments. What I mean by then, wherever we help the environment, the transparency aspect, and literally clean it all up and put it as a transparent business model. And I think that's where the future leads into structuring products, having ability for investors to invest in something new. and it's not just standard stock and bond that everybody else offers.
The diversity,
and I think that's what some of the feedback of clients we got on back of the event is like, hey, we are here because we want to hear about something new and different. And not everybody is interested in buying equity into a firm, right? But they also want to invest in projects that are good for them, good for the environment, good for the future. So that's really where we are.
Share a bit more about the ESG thought there. What drives you there?
It's started off as, interesting enough, of hosting the cleanest data center in Switzerland kind of thing. So the environment, so on one hand, the world is the way, we're very pragmatic and realistic type of people in our firm. It is what it is. You cannot change the world, but you can change it one step at a time, and only realistically, right? So that's why I'm a big proponent of ESG, but also of businesses that don't change the environment in order to produce a better environment, if you know what I mean. So basically, that's why we love this, for example, the Eco Gold Mine, because it's one of the few and unique way of using plasma furnaces and extractors to basically recycle existing recycled garbage or soil or chemicals that are already bad. And what we're doing is basically cleaning that up. So, basically cleaning the industry and byproduct, you get a precious metal that other people are digging hundreds of tons per day to get to it. So what we're looking down the path is basically securitize some in-ground assets that don't necessarily have to be digged up in order for it to be monetized.
So keep reserves.
Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, for look at the oil industry, right? So they know the reserves are for oil there, so therefore they're on the balance sheet. Doesn't necessarily mean they're digged out. So why don't we do the same thing for different industries, right? So our approach and goal is like, well, we have precious metals in earth and so on. So if that's if we're able to properly securitize and pledge that asset, then doesn't mean that we have to get it. It's there, so therefore there's a value in it of owning it, but digitally, it's the same thing like money in fiat. For example, it's digital money or cash. It doesn't necessarily have to have a suitcase of money, but you can press one button and have it there.
That's interesting. Can you tell us more about that? How do you start such a process?
We are at the moment looking at obviously with you guys, to securitize existing assets, meaning that the reserves and surveys are there, but kind of put it into the banking process where banking investors understand what they're getting, having the assets monetized and pledged and securitized, and on back of that, then you create a vehicle where people can invest along the ride.
What would you say are the biggest obstacles today in your business, or when it comes to this?
I think is to get people to bank in the financial industry as a whole to understand what you're trying to achieve, right? So interesting enough, I had some meetings with bankers today and a couple of weeks back as well, and it's kind of the same discussion always. They're always interested in how you're going to be able, if they give you money, how you're going to pay back the money, right? Sure. Rather than what it really boils down to. That's the game, right? So, and rather than looking at the bigger picture of the value you're creating or you have. It's kind of the liquidity on the market, right? So even though the actual liquidity is created by other people putting bid and offers and then withdrawing them. So what we want to do is basically be transparent about it and flip it upside the other way around and say, right, well, there's the transparent thing. So there's the X amount of precious metals in ground here that are valued at X much at the current price. And let's, without digging them out, how we can monetize that. And that's the kind of the key. And to see that vision, you have to get people to kind of look at your story, but also get them to work with you on those aspects, right? So banks are not always keen to that. Investors, on the other hand, are much more proactive. And I see this shift of I think asset managers doing a lot more things, because there's a big shift of bankers coming to asset management and family offices where they're kind of tired of working within parameters. So all of a sudden you have the ability up to your own capabilities to create what you want.
So you would proclaim, as we do, that diversification is still expanding.
Yes.
The investment universe is expanding, certainly together with you. And that's a really nice aspect, to actually look at these treasures and of course also create performance on that. And so we have to define a winner here. And so I set the first stone to make this work. Yeah.
As they say, the best possible scenario is the draw.
The best possible scenario is a draw. I mean, not always in finance, yeah, hopefully not.
You get where I had a professor and a mentor of mine that he used to say, well, in order for you to make money, somebody else has to lose it. But on the counter of that was, good one.
Oh la la, I got you there. But finish your sentence, that was a good one. What did the professor say?
So basically you have to put your hand in somebody else's pocket in order for you, so the goal was never to be the last one trying to put in somebody else's pocket, right?
Okay, good. But that now goes very deep into the banking system.
Yes.
So what do you see next? How is that going to come about, the digital markets?
Well,
what do you say?
it's the digital aspect is fascinating, right? Because it's on the defense, you got me there. It's fascinating because
keep talking.
That's your idea. You get me talking.
I get you talking, and I win the games.
No, but on the digital world, right? The transformation in AI and everything else, it's really coming to a point where there's things computers do better than humans, right? You need still humans, and the industry will transform. So I saw an article the other day. Programmers will be extinct, but the actual picture was if you cut the programmer, the AI falls down. So they kind of need each other. On a banking aspect, it's the same thing. The banks need the digital world. Because let's face it, they have been digital for a very long time. Matter of fact, money has been digital for a very, very, very long time.
I mean, it's interesting. Most probably the biggest data holders, biggest data companies in the world were banks before the internet. Or before the titans of the internet emerged.
The banks really don't control the money. The asset managers or clients themselves control the funds, where that goes. And the more digital and transparent you make it, and easier to make it to move, the more options and opportunities come on that.
So you would say that that the advisory is stronger than the infrastructure?
Definitely.
Okay.
You need one or the other.
Wouldn't that oppose with the blockchain theory?
Yes and no, because at the end of the day, computer needs direction of some kind, right? And the infrastructure has to be there. But once you have the infrastructure is not the strategy and the play.
How many of these drivers going to be digitally controlled? I mean, speaking of the elephant in the room, AI and the technology that awaits us. How will that affect?
The strategy still comes from us, right? And the day will come when the computers will take over that. But then I think that's a long way away in a sense of, although I gotta say the AI at the moment is so much further than any of us thought. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, a lot of banks and everybody else by surprise. I think you don't realize it until you try it yourself. You're like, wow, okay. So that's transformational and changeable. And I know some of my other traders, they're trying to basically get the computer to predict where the price action will be based on the history, and a lot of tinkering. You get there, but then on the other hand, it's like counter to that is if you program a computer to do something very well, then you program another computer to do the opposite. So which side do you sit on? And it's a constant little battle.
Well, in investment, I would agree
yes.
that this could neutralize itself. But on the other side, I think that lots of the IP, lots of the surprising fast elements are maybe faster calculated, faster implemented by artificial intelligence than by human actions, right?
Yeah, and speed to market is something that's going to be transformed, right? So today, in the industry,
and know-how is going to be transformed.
Yes, correct. Basically, artificial intelligence or cycle all the basic things you need done. So therefore, you can concentrate on what really matters, right? So the strategy, how you execute it, and you get all the top components to help you.
And the final decision.
Yes.
So when can we expect the first AI product from you, or the first investment into AI?
Funny enough, our AMC for Pioneer that we're working on has a lot of AI built in the back end. So our trading strategy kind of incorporates technology and old strategy, but also technology and AI, and basically layering all the data. And the data is so much transformed now.